that's straight and bright. By the light of the word.
Today on Light of the Word with Pastor Ray.
Judah is picked because Hebron's in Judah, and it's already been promised to Caleb. Can you believe that, Christian, for your life personally? Can you believe today, at this moment in your life, whatever situation you're in this life, maybe you're in a hard situation, maybe you're in a situation you don't really care for, maybe you're in a wonderful situation. In any situation, you look and go, oh, Lord, you're so good to me. Oh, Lord, the things that you've given me, I give you thanks, I give you praise.
Open your heart to us, Lord, so we can know your word. We come before you, Jesus. Speak to our hearts as we discover your love for us. How wide, how deep, how far. Pour into us so we can learn to follow. One surrender at a time. You have made the way for us to know you. A path that's straight and bright. By the light of the word.
Many of us are probably familiar with what is perhaps the most common memory verse. Rejoice always. Again, I say rejoice. While this may have indeed been our first memory verse, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's as easy to put into practice. In today's message, Pastor Ray encourages you to reflect on the state of your heart and how much trust you're putting in the Lord. In his study, you'll learn that while it can be difficult to believe at times, the Lord is trustworthy and worthy of praise, no matter our situation. Well, let's join Pastor Ray in the book of Joshua, chapter 15, for today's edition of Light of the Word.
So we're going through the introduction, a recap to get the abundant Christian life, the Spirit-filled life. And we see the correlation of Joshua 1:3 and Ephesians 1:3. Hey, Joshua, every place you step your foot, I've given it to you. You can have victory in this land of giants and the land that you were afraid to take 40 years ago. The children of Israel, I'll give you the faith. I'll give you everything that you need to come in and take it. And God says that to us. Joshua is a picture of the New Testament life that we can have. Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who has blessed us with every spiritual blessing in heavenly places. All that Jesus Christ has, he wants to give you today. He loves you. He wants nothing but the best for you, and he wants to take you into greatness and great depths. And so we're in this place now. Chapters 1 through 12, we saw the war, and we saw all the battles. Now chapters 13 through 19, they're dividing up the land, the inheritance, and they're dividing it by lot. And you can see the 12 tribes, and you can see basically the coloring for us is what we're going to read in these next several chapters. And here's Judah down here, and Simeon, and Reuben, and Gad, and Ephraim. This is how the land's going to fall out and divide out by lot, and we'll refresh that today, the inheritance that they get. But you know, you could put your New Testament version on this, and you could say, you could put Ray here. And you could put Renee here. You could put Matt here. You put your name in anywhere. These cities, you can replace the name of these cities of Hezron and Kirjath, and all these type of cities, and you can replace them in your area with the fruit of the Spirit. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness. You can come and you can pick that city and say, that was the city of bitterness that was consuming me, that God's given me a victory. This was the city of fear that I thought I would never overcome, but God has stepped in and he's given me these spiritual victories because he's good, and that's what he wants for me. And so verse 1 through 12, Joshua 15. So this was the lot of the tribe of the children of Judah, according to the families. The border of Edom at the wilderness of Zin southward was the extreme southern boundary. And you can see the map. You can see all the cities that would be mentioned. And you go to verse 12. The west border was the coastline of the Great Sea. This is the boundary of the children of Judah all around according to their families. So today's passage is Judah, the tribe of Judah, one of the 12 tribes of Israel. And this is the land that they get. And you can see it in the green. And they go all the way up and they're going to share Jerusalem with the tribe of Benjamin. And that's going to be significant in our closing here today. Now verse 13. See how fast we covered that? Now to Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, he gave a share among the children of Judah according to the commandment of the Lord to Joshua, namely Kirjath Arba, which is Hebron. Arba was the father of Anak. We ended there last week of Caleb. Back in chapter 14, and Caleb comes and he says, hey, Joshua, you remember 45 years ago, I came into this land. It was only me and you who said we can take the land. And Moses promised me Hebron, and I want Hebron. In Hebron, you probably can't see it that clear, but is the annex, the giants there. He goes, I want to go get some giants. I want Hebron. I have a receipt in my hand of Moses promised me this 45 years ago. I've fought for it. It's mine. Therefore, I'm entitled. Give it to me. And I'm ready to go fight. And I'm ready to go to war. And here's the amazing thing. He gets it because it was his. Remember last week how I said the land would be divided up? This is how Israel cast lots in those days. 2 pots. Priest would come in, or possibly it was Joshua. 2 pots, one on the left, one on the right. In the pot on the left, 12 tribes of Israel by name. Reuben, Gad, Simeon, Judah. On the right side was a pot, and it was all this land, how it was mapped out. The priest would come in, stick his hand in, and go, Judah. Stick his hand in, the southern border. That's how they would do it. Stick his hand in, Benjamin. Stick the other hand in the central area, Ephraim. Then pull out the other one. Here's the amazing thing. 45 years ago, Caleb was promised Hebron. Hebron is in the lot where Judah fell. Do you see that? Significance of that? God steered the hand of the high priest. I'm picking Judah. Therefore, I have to pick the area that includes Hebron, because I promised it to Caleb. Caleb's part of the tribe of Judah. I can't give Hebron to Ephraim, Manasseh, or anyone else. Hebron must go to Caleb. All things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose. All things, what are all things? It's everything. What are all things? It's every last detail of your life. God is in it. 45 years before the land would be divvied up, God had already said, Caleb's getting Hebron, so I got to make sure that when they stick their hand in there and they pull out Judah, that Judah is picked because Hebron's in Judah and it's already been promised to Caleb. Can you believe that, Christian, for your life personally? Can you believe today at this moment in your life, whatever situation you're in this life, maybe you're in a hard situation, maybe you're in a situation you don't really care for, maybe you're in a wonderful situation. In any situation, you look and go, oh, Lord, you're so good to me. Oh, Lord, the things that you've given me, I give you thanks. I give you praise, every last detail. And I know this is a small thing, and it can almost be a silly thing. But last night, when I put Camden to bed, the dog comes faithful. Camden's not feeling well. So Camden's laying in his bed. Faithful comes, golden lab. Jumps up, lays down in the bed, lays close to him, close enough that he can put his hand on Faithful's head. and pet Faithful. And it brings him comfort. It brings him this place of peace. And I was just looking at that going, so 2 years ago, Lord, you did all these pieces that Renee says, oh, there's this dog breeder. It's only 15 minutes from the church. No, it was 2 hours and 15 minutes from the church. She just didn't see the front part that said 2 hours. So we're in this car for 2 hours and 15 minutes driving all the way almost to West Virginia. And we get there, it was a puppy mill. It was not a place that it was a place where they're breeding dogs. It was just a puppy mill. It was dirty. It was run down and all those things. And I'm walking up there going, no way. Right. Exactly. Once you show up, you're leaving with a dog, and that's just the way it's going to be. And sure enough, but we went into the cage, and there was 8 dogs, and Faithful. The 7 of them are jumping all over everybody, but the 8th one, he just went to the corner, and he just sat literally in the corner, and he just watched everybody jump and this and that. And all of us immediately said, that's the one. We want this mild dog, this mellow dog, this easygoing dog. And that's what he is, even though he's still got a lot of puppy in him, just easygoing. And I sit there and I go, man, Lord, the details, because if Renee would have known it was 2 hours, 15 minutes right from the beginning, I go, no. I'm not driving 2 hours, 15 minutes. There's plenty of places within 30 minutes. But we drive all the way over there. If I knew going over there what it would be, I'd be like, no, we're not going to go there. The website, surely, they must have took pictures from somebody else's dog kennel because it was not the same place that was on the website. And last night I'm sitting there and I'm just looking at the 2 of them. I'm just looking how that dog is so faithful to him. And I go, man, God, you're in the details of a dog. How much more, because I know you love him, how much more then are you in every detail of any detail in my life? He's in the details of your finances, good or bad. I see it. He's in the detail of your relationship and your marriage. He's in the detail of where you're going to work. He's in the detail of how and where he wanted to bring you to fellowship. He's in the detail of all these things, because all things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose. What are all things? Every last thing. The smallest, minutest detail, I'm in it. And I sit there and I think of the priest reaching his hand in that pot. And God's like, nope, not that one, not that one, not that. That's one. Grab it. Put your hand in here. Nope, not that. That's the one. That's it. Pull it out. Judah, southern region of Israel. And I believe that 100% based on the scriptures, based on watching God, based on what he does in my life. I know he's into every last detail. Steered my whole life to where I would come, steered my whole life to how I would meet my wife, steered my whole life of how all these things, and I'm thankful. And I praise him and I bless him. He can steer hands. And there's a pastor. Maybe you've heard him. He's not in the Calvary Chapel. He's still saved, though. Calvary Chapel's the only denomination in the world, right? God's not into denominations. You know how I like to make that point. He's just an awesome pastor. He's more charismatic, and he's just got fire and zeal. And if he preaches 5 times, he has like 5 stacks of handkerchiefs, because they're like, by the end of the service, it's all soaking wet, and it's like next service he's got to get a dry one because I remember we were visiting and he was preaching, and he told us of how he planted a church in Detroit, inner city of Detroit, and God just blessed it abundantly and was reaching and changing lives, and it went from a small church into a church of 1,000. But he knew God was speaking, I'm going to move you on. This was the season. I'm moving you on to somewhere else. And his replacement was picked and chosen. And he tells the story about his replacement. Because you talk about how God prepares you. Talk about how God preserves you and stuff like it. So his replacement is picked. His replacement comes home from the evening service, wherever he was, late at night, walks into his house, row homes in Detroit, walks in, surprises a intruder who was in his home, and the intruder attacks him, stabs him 32 times. The pastor-to-be stabbed 32 times. And here's one of the amazing parts of the story. Not one vital organ was hit. Doctors will say mathematically the probability impossible. 32 times, 6-inch blade or something like that. All these stabs all over his body, but not one place was a vital organ hit that could kill him. And as Pastor Tim tells the story, it's like God's allowing it. And this is the thing that I like to say. God will use the things that he hates in this fallen world to bring about the thing that he loves. It's you and what he's working in your life. And so even in this fallen world, I don't understand how all these things work. This guy's getting stabbed, but it's like God, and as Pastor Tim tells a story, you can stab him here, but not there. You can stab him there, but no, 1 inch, nope. You can't stab him. You got to go 1 inch lower than that. You stab him here, okay, not there, no, there. You can stab him there. And the way Tim tells the story, you know, with his power and his vigor, it's an amazing story to tell. But you hear 32 times, and I could see it, God protecting even in the fallen world. There, no. There, okay, no, not there, and all these things. And here's how the story ends. The guy's got 32 stab wounds. He's bleeding profusely in his home, and he drags himself out the front door after the intruder runs away. It's 3 a.m. There's nobody to help him. Gets himself across the street to the next set of row homes and gets to his neighbor, knocks on the neighbor's door. The neighbor wakes up, comes out, sees him laying there in a pool of blood, calls the medics, and his life is saved. And he goes on to take over the church, and he knows what war is about. He knows what the battle is like, and he knows that Satan wants to do anything he can to kill and destroy, and he can speak it, because where's he ministering? Detroit City, probably the most violent city in the United States at this point. But here's the amazing part of the story. Police report, they go, we know he was stabbed in here in his home, profuse blood everywhere. We know he made it across the street, up the sidewalk, to his neighbor's front porch, pool of blood there at that front door. Here's the most amazing thing, they write in the police report. We could not find one drop of blood from his front door to his neighbor's front door. Not one drop of blood. They go, it's impossible to bleed out that much and bleed out that much on the other side and leave no trail of blood. It's as if God came and picked him up in his arms and took him over and laid him down at that front porch and rung the doorbell for him and saved his life. It's a true story. And God does these things. And God is into every detail of your life. God cares about everything. All things work together for good for those who love God. What's all things? Every last detail. And I don't want to sound like I'm just telling you a Bible story. Many of you know our story. We know what pain is. We understand pain. Life hasn't been a beautiful, perfect, it's a wonderful life story. But I can tell you this, God has been there in our lives every step of the way. And every tear that we've shed and dropped in our life, I can tell you, God has captured it in a bottle and recorded it in the book, just like he said that he would. And so I say that to anyone who's going through an extreme place of pain. And you're wondering if it will ever end. You wonder, how do you get through this? If you ever get an opportunity, I'm sidetracking in my mind right now. If you ever get an opportunity, read the story of Johnny Erickson Tata. Broke her neck at the age of 17, right up the road here in Baltimore, diving in the summer. And she tells a story of how her life was so hard. And I'll develop it more at another time, because just so we can continue on today. But she said 2 years of just struggling and anger and bitterness at God. And then one day she finally came to that place, fallen world, new body in heaven. And that God's doing something in my fallen world, but there's a guaranteed promise of heaven, and it changed her whole life. She knows pain, and God used her in her pain to go tell people. And I just look and I just say to myself so many times, and I say it to anyone here, we're going to get to do what the Apostle John did on that Last Supper. One day, we're going to leave here, and we're going to be at the marriage supper of the Lamb, and we're going to get to rest our head on his chest. Imagine John hearing the heartbeat of God. You will hear the heartbeat of God, and we will be in his arms of love. And as much pain as you may possibly be going through, if he has to, he will pick you up from that front porch and he will carry you over that threshold to the next place. And he will deliver you into the arms of the Lord. I promise you that. So verse 14, the hand of the sovereign God. Caleb gets Hebron, has to, because it was promised. Now Caleb will become one of, if not the only. Verse 14, Caleb drove out the 3 sons of Anak from there. Shishai, Iman, Talmai, the children of Anak. Anak, as we know from past studies, the giants. When they came into this land and they saw the giants, they went back and reported the giants. And 10 out of 12 goes, we can't take the giants. But Caleb and Joshua will take the giants. And here's Caleb, 85 years old. He's known 40 years of the cruel taskmaster's whip on his back in Egypt, 40 years of wandering in the wilderness with Moses, and then 7 years of war with Joshua to take this land. And he's 85 years old, and he goes, let's go get some more. At that age, if you were to take today's average lifespan, he's like 60 years old. He's not ready to retire. He's not saying, give me beachfront. Give me over here at Gaza. It's a beautiful place out there. If you've ever been there, Tel Aviv is one of my favorite places. So beautiful up there. He doesn't want that. Give me the high ground. Give me where the giants are, because I want some giants. I got a score to settle with these guys. Don't give me sardines. I want some sharks. Don't give me rabbit hunting. I'm loaded for bear, and I want to go, and I want to do a battle. What a man. Only one will read who will drive them out of their land. We're going to read, and we'll end in verse 63 today, where they couldn't drive the Jebusites out of Jerusalem. What a sad statement. But here's Caleb. He's driving giants out of the land. Amazing. And you know what? Sometimes for Christianity, Christians can think that the whole purpose of life is arriving at death safely and comfortably. It's not. It's a battle. It's a war. And this will be a war until we get to that other side. But God fights for you. God fights with you. The sovereign hand of God is there moving every detail. But as we say, you can have all of Jesus Christ you want, but not one drop more. You go as far as you want in the promised land, but not one step more. You know, interesting enough, Caleb and Joshua, are they not two of the greatest men of faith that we read in the Bible? What men of faith? They're not listed in Hebrews 11, Hall of Faith.
You have made the way for us to know you, a path that's straight and bright.
The book of Joshua clearly states that in this life, you're to be courageous. That doesn't mean you won't be afraid. In fact, there's a lot in this world that can create fear. What you do with that fear is the key. Do you dwell on it and let it seclude you from the world, or do you take it to God? When you step into those places of fear-inducing chaos with your Heavenly Father as your anchor, you'll find you can continue to love and lead in spite of the unknown. So today, be courageous and hold fast to the promises of God. Thanks for being a part of our time here today on Light of the Word. This program is a ministry of Pastor Ray Bolus in Calvary Chapel of Anne Arundel County. If you live in the area, we'd love to meet you. Come see us this Sunday at 10 a.m. You'll be able to find all the information you need at ccaac.org. If you can't join us in person, you can still be part of our virtual community through our live stream. Our website again is ccaac.org. If you have any questions, feel free to send us an email at mail@ccaac.org, and we'll get back with you as soon as possible. Let us know how we can be praying for you too. We love that we can interact with our listeners in this way. That's all for today, but we hope you'll tune in again for the next edition of Light of the Word, illuminating the heart of God.
You have made